The year was 1939. The world was on the brink of a conflict that would engulf nations and reshape borders. In the midst of this global turmoil, a smaller yet equally fierce battle was about to unfold in the frozen north. Winter had descended upon Finland with a vengeance. The snow fell relentlessly, covering the land in a thick white blanket. The winds howled through the trees, carrying with them the promise of a harsh and unforgiving season. The forests, blanketed in thick snow, stood silent and still. The trees, heavy with ice, seemed to bow under the weight of the season. It was a landscape of stark beauty, but also one of deadly peril. Temperatures plummeted far below freezing, turning the landscape into a treacherous expanse of white. The cold was a living thing, seeping into bones and sapping strength. It was a formidable adversary, one that would test the resolve of all who dared to face it. The air was heavy with anticipation and fear, a silent prelude to the storm that was about to break. The land seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the inevitable clash that would shatter the stillness. On the border, the shadow of the Soviet Union loomed large. The Red Army, with its vast resources and overwhelming numbers, was a force to be reckoned with. Its presence was a constant reminder of the threat that hung over Finland. The Red Army, a force of immense size and power, was poised to unleash its might upon the small nation of Finland. Tanks rumbled through the snow, and soldiers marched in unison, their breath visible in the frigid air. The sheer scale of the Soviet war machine was daunting. The Finns, outnumbered and outgunned, knew that their very existence was at stake. They were a small nation facing a giant, but they were determined to defend their homeland. Every man, woman, and child understood the gravity of the situation. Their defense rested upon the courage of their soldiers, their knowledge of the terrain, and the bitter cold that was both their enemy and their ally. The Finns moved with agility through the snow, using skis to navigate the treacherous landscape. They knew every inch of their homeland, and they used this knowledge to their advantage. The stage was set for a conflict that would pit man against man and man against nature. The frozen forests and snow-covered fields would become the battlegrounds where bravery and strategy would be tested to their limits. In the heart of this frozen wasteland, a legend was about to be born. Amidst the chaos and carnage, one man would rise to become a symbol of Finnish resilience and tenacity. A man whose name would become synonymous with the Winter War, whose skill with a rifle would strike terror into the hearts of his enemies, and whose story would inspire generations to come. This man was Simo Häyhä, a humble farmer turned soldier, whose extraordinary marksmanship earned him the nickname the White Death. This is the story of Simo Häyhä, the White Death. His ability to blend into the snowy landscape, his patience and his deadly accuracy made him a formidable opponent. As the war raged on, his legend grew and his name became a beacon of hope for the Finnish people. Simo Häyhä's story is one of courage, skill and an unyielding spirit in the face of overwhelming odds. Simo Häyhä was born in 1907 in the small village of Rautjärvi near the Finnish-Russian border. This picturesque yet rugged region was characterized by its dense forests, serene lakes and harsh winters. Life in rural Finland was harsh, demanding resilience and resourcefulness from a young age. The people of Rautjärvi were accustomed to the challenges posed by the natural environment, and young Simo was no exception. Simo, the son of a farmer, learned to hunt and shoot in the surrounding forests. These skills were not just hobbies, but essential for survival, providing food for the family and protection against wild animals. Little did he know that these skills, honed in his youth, would one day shape his destiny and that of his nation. His keen eye and steady hand became legendary in the local community. As a young man, he served his mandatory year in the Finnish army. This experience further solidified his abilities and introduced him to the discipline and structure of military life. He joined the Civil Guard, a voluntary defense organization, where he further developed his marksmanship skills. The Civil Guard was a crucial part of Finland's defense strategy, and Simo's participation was a testament to his dedication to his country. He was a natural, possessing an uncanny ability to hit targets with pinpoint accuracy. His fellow guardsmen often marveled at his precision, and he quickly gained a reputation as one of the best marksmen in the region. His patience was legendary, his aim unwavering. Whether in the dense forests or open fields, Simo's ability to remain calm and focused under pressure set him apart. It was during these formative years that the foundation for his extraordinary abilities as a sniper was laid. The rigorous training and real-world experience he gained would prove invaluable in the years to come. But Simo remained a man of few words, humble and unassuming. Despite his growing reputation, he never sought the limelight, preferring to let his actions speak for themselves. When the call to arms came in 1939, he answered without hesitation. The Winter War had begun, and Finland needed every able-bodied man to defend against the Soviet invasion. Leaving behind his life as a farmer and stepping into the heart of the storm, Simo Häyhä was about to embark on a journey that would etch his name into the annals of history. His skills, honed in the quiet forests of Rautjärvi, would soon be tested on the brutal battlefields of the Winter War, where he would become a symbol of Finnish resilience and determination. On November 30th, 1939, the Soviet Union launched a massive offensive against Finland. The world watched in anticipation as the Red Army, one of the largest military forces at the time, began its invasion. The Soviet leadership believed that their sheer numbers and advanced weaponry would quickly overwhelm the smaller Finnish forces. The Winter War had begun. It was a conflict that would test the resolve and ingenuity of the Finnish people, who were determined to defend their homeland against a seemingly unstoppable force. The Red Army, confident in its overwhelming superiority, expected a swift victory. They had tanks, aircraft, and a vast number of troops at their disposal. The Soviet commanders were certain that Finland would fall within weeks, if not days. They underestimated the Finns' determination to defend their homeland. The Finnish soldiers, though fewer in number and less equipped, had an unbreakable spirit. They were fighting not just for territory, but for their way of life, their culture, and their freedom. The Finns were fighting for their survival, for their families, for their very right to exist. Every man, woman, and child understood the stakes. The entire nation mobilized, with civilians supporting the war effort in any way they could, from building fortifications to providing supplies. The Finnish soldiers, fighting on familiar ground, used the harsh winter conditions to their advantage. They knew how to survive and fight in the freezing temperatures, something the Soviet troops were not prepared for. The dense forests and snow-covered landscapes became their allies. They were masters of camouflage, their white winter uniforms blending seamlessly with the snow. This made them nearly invisible to the enemy, allowing them to launch surprise attacks and then disappear into the landscape. They were skilled skiers, able to traverse the treacherous terrain with speed and agility. This mobility gave them a significant advantage, allowing them to outmaneuver the slower Soviet forces and strike where they were least expected. They knew every tree, every hill, every frozen lake. This intimate knowledge of the terrain allowed them to set traps and ambushes, further slowing the Soviet advance and causing confusion among the enemy ranks. They were fighting a defensive war, a war of attrition. The Finnish strategy was to hold their ground, inflict maximum casualties, and make the cost of invasion too high for the Soviets to bear. The Finnish strategy was to inflict as many casualties as possible, to slow down the Soviet advance, and to make victory too costly for the enemy. They used guerrilla tactics, hit-and-run attacks, and their superior knowledge of the terrain to their advantage. Every Finnish soldier knew that the odds were stacked against them, but they were determined to fight with every ounce of their strength. They trained rigorously, prepared for the worst, and remained resolute in their mission to defend their homeland. Among them, Simo Häyhä would soon become a symbol of their unwavering spirit. Known as the White Death, Häyhä's incredible marksmanship and stealth made him a legend. His story inspired his fellow soldiers and struck fear into the hearts of the Soviet invaders. The Winter War was not just a battle of armies, but a testament to the resilience and courage of the Finnish people. Section 4. The Making of a Sniper. Simo Häyhä was assigned to the 6th Company of JR-34, fighting on the Kolar riverfront. It was here, in the frozen wilderness, that he would truly make his mark. Armed with his trusty Mosin Nagant M28 rifle, a weapon he preferred for its reliability and accuracy, he became a phantom, a whisper of death in the wind. He shunned the use of a telescopic sight, fearing that its glint would give away his position. He relied instead on his iron sights and his extraordinary eyesight. He packed snow around his rifle to conceal the steam from his breath and to prevent the barrel from overheating. He knew that a sniper's greatest asset was his ability to remain undetected. He was a master of camouflage, blending seamlessly into the snowdrifts, becoming one with the winter landscape. He was patient, waiting for hours in the freezing cold for the perfect shot. His targets never knew what hit them. Section 5, The White Death emerges. Word of Simo Häyhä's exploits spread like wildfire through the Finnish ranks. His kill count, meticulously recorded by his comrades, was staggering. He was credited with over 500 confirmed kills, most of them achieved within a span of just 100 days. The Soviets, terrified by this unseen enemy who picked off their men with unnerving precision, dubbed him the White Death. He became a legend, a symbol of Finnish resilience and resistance. His story spread beyond the battlefield, boosting the morale of the Finnish people who were locked in a desperate struggle for survival. He was a beacon of hope in the darkest of times, proof that even against overwhelming odds, courage and determination could prevail. But Simo Häyhä was not driven by a thirst for glory or recognition. He was a soldier, fighting for his country, for his home, for his way of life. He saw his role as a duty, a responsibility to protect his comrades and to defend his homeland.